Hi, everyone. Welcome to Radiant Living, Inspiring Humanity to Thrive. I'm your host, Marisa B. Today, I'd like to welcome a transformative master shamanic teacher in the ancient Toltec tradition for almost 30 years now. Let's welcome Liz Forrest. Liz, thank you so much for coming today.
Thank you, Marisa. I'm so excited to be here.
Well, I'm excited because this is, as I said, an ancient tradition. And I guess the first question I have, and I'm sure the audience is thinking this, how did you come to get involved with this particular type of tradition? Hi, everyone. Marissa B here from Radiant Living. If you like what we're doing and want to keep the conversations going, please like and subscribe and hit the notification bell so you know every time we upload a video. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a really good question that I sometimes ask myself, really. But I had the very good fortune and really blessing, I feel. I was going to massage and advanced healing arts school in Santa Fe, New Mexico in 1988. And Don Miguel Ruiz, who I'm sure we all know, the author of the Four Agreements, he's a very well-known teacher of the Toltec traditions. He happened to be in New Mexico at that time and in Santa Fe, and someone mentioned to me that I should go and get involved and listen. And that's where I started. And so I did. And something about the resonance of the teachings, the inclusion, and the energy. It was the first time I had ever heard anyone talk about energy, working with my own energy in a way of healing myself. And maybe like a lot of us out there, was in therapy for a long time and walked other spiritual paths and different ways for the self-inquiry and to heal myself from places that I wanted to change and that I knew I had work to do from my younger life. And it always came to a point on the other paths that someone was not included. At some point, there would be a way of exclusion. And so then I would have to leave the path because that's not my belief. That's not my philosophy. And so this particular path did not do that. It was all inclusive. And so I started to learn about it. And as I was in healing arts school, it was very aligned with what I was already learning as I learned to be a healer myself. And so from there, I apprenticed with one of Miguel Ruiz's first apprentices. Her name is Bernadette Vigil, and she is from here in New Mexico. And so as my interest evolved, I became her apprentice for 10 years. And then eventually was told to teach and to begin to pass on the teachings myself and I was living in Canada. I am Canadian. I was living in Canada at the time and co-found and co-ran a Toltec Center on the west coast of British Columbia, Canada. So that's kind of a long answer to your question. And I do want to add one more thing in there, Marisa, that during my apprenticeship, I met an indigenous Toltec family who still live in Teotihuacan, which is the pyramid site, the home of the Toltecs in central Mexico. And I met their Cervantes family during my apprenticeship with Doña Bernadette. And Don Valentin is a wisdom carrier of his village, and he took me under his wing and has been teaching me for all these years as well. So I feel really so blessed and very fortunate to have had teachings from both. You know, I feel Don Miguel Ruiz really brought these teachings into contemporary times and so beautifully. And then Don Valentin Cervantes, much more traditional. And so I've kind of had a blend of that and been given permission. I like to emphasize that. I've been given permission through different ceremonies and initiations and teachings to take these teachings out and offer them out into my communities. And so that's what I've been doing. So to kind of answer the question that you asked me, it was really, for me, that put me on the path was, as I said, I'd never learned about energy. And this is shamanism. So that was the biggest healing piece for me. It was like something connected for me, as well as all the other work that I'd done with therapy and different explorations, different things. Working with my energy was what brought me to where I am today. And so that's one of the things I've been teaching people for all these years is how to reclaim their own energy, how to release other people's energies, how to hold your own energy, how to direct your energy, because it's your energy after all. Yeah,
Now, of course, you're a massage therapist as well, and you
I
have been
am.
doing that, correct? Yes.
Yes, yeah. That's what I was doing in 1988 in Santa Fe. I was learning, first of all, massage therapy, and then I learned a whole lot of other modalities within that scope. And I'm also a firewalk instructor. So I lead people through firewalks, which is exactly that. It's walking across 1500-degree coals
Yes.
without getting hurt. It's an immediately transformative experience. Not Toltec, I want to qualify. It's not
Right.
Toltec. Uh, it comes from Africa and other countries in the world also for
Mhm.
different reasons use
Yes.
firewalking. So yes, I also am very connected to fire. Yeah.
But now the Toltec tradition, it's a very specific tradition. Can you tell me a little bit about the Toltec people? Because no, knowing some things about the indigenous people in Central America, South America, Mexico, but not everything about them. These people are traditionally from what is today Mexico. Is that what it is?
Yeah, central Mexico. The Toltecs, and there's variation on this historically. I learned
Mhm.
that from 200 to 700 AD, Teotihuacan, the pyramid site in central
Mhm.
Mexico, which honestly, I mean, I've been there many times, it is still under excavation. So we really don't have any idea yet of how large this site is. And that is the original home of the Toltecs, was that pyramid site, and still is, I want to say, as I've already mentioned, Don Valentin Cervantes. Yes, he is a Toltec indigenous family. Yeah.
And this
And
is in
so
Central America, Central Mexico, Central Mexico.
central Mexico. Yeah,
Yes.
it's about an hour east of Mexico City.
Okay. Because I'm
Yeah.
assuming there were different people in different areas. I recently was in Tulum and I went to the ruins there. And of course, massive cities, as you said, that are not completely discovered. Only portions of them have been uncovered. And there's massive, massive cities. And I think that a lot of us forget that these were tremendous, uh, vibrant areas where people were living at the time.
Yes. It was Teotihuacan was like the central economical and spiritual and cultural center in that time for central Mexico. Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Now,
So go ahead.
how is it a little different? How is their tradition? I'm assuming their tradition is a little different than, say, the tradition of people, indigenous people who were Mayan, correct? Because Mayan individuals, I believe, are also Mexican, yes, in another area of Mexico, but
Yeah.
they
Yes.
have a different tradition.
And I can't speak to the Mayan tradition because that is not what I've
Right,
studied. But what
right.
I can speak to is Toltec shamanism. It's
Hmm.
really, if I could put it in a short explanation, Marisa, it's a study of perception, emphasizing self-awareness and spiritual awakening to set the individual on their own path of personal freedom. Okay, now remember, this is the blend from Don Miguel Ruiz's lineage, the Eagle Knight lineage, and then Don Valentin Cervantes, much more traditional. So this is kind of a blend that I have learned from both. And so through energy practices, which I've mentioned, and specific ceremonies and dreaming practices,
Hmm.
the student learns how to reclaim themselves fully from their past. And that includes the past beliefs that we all hold, the past traumas that we carry from our young life, from our life experiences, and be able to heal that and live in alignment with our true nature and our own authenticity. Yeah, unraveling those limitations that we maybe initially were placed upon us, not necessarily facetiously or with ill intent. However, we've all been through our own domestication, is what we call it on the Toltec path. And, there's many words: programming, our blueprint, yeah, what's the word I'm looking for? Our, socializing. And so
Correct.
there's different ways that we all carry this from our upbringing and our different cultural beliefs, our religious beliefs, gender, the expectations of we are a certain gender, so we do a certain thing or we live a certain way. I'm sure we all know. So these particular practices help us kind of unravel. It's really, Don Miguel Ruiz has said many times, it's like an unlearning. It's like an
Hmm.
unlearning and then deciding what is actually true for us and how am I limiting myself which is not true, which is not my truth. Perhaps. It's not like we throw it all out. We've learned some really valuable things, of course. And then there's some things that do hold us back from being who we truly are. And I also want to say the path, this Toltec path, and even though I said I can't speak to other Indigenous paths,
Mhm.
I also know from my own life experience that
Mhm.
this Toltec path, as well as many others, is deeply rooted in the natural cycles uh, and the elements
Mhm.
of our natural world. And so there's, we pay attention. For instance, summer solstice is coming up this Friday.
Yes.
And so it's deeply rooted in the natural world. And
Mhm.
there is different practices and ceremonies that honor that. Yeah,
Mhm.
that honor our connection to the natural world rather than our separation,
Mhm.
which maybe some of us were raised with
Yes.
that. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, far too often, right? That
Yes.
that seems to happen more so than inclusion, exclusion, sadly.
Yeah.
So this is a fabulous path because it does include everyone and everything, really.
Yes.
That's what and I'd like to ask you a little bit about that because I personally know that you have something that you do every Tuesday live, and I've actually been privileged to jump in and listen when I have time. So can you explain a little bit about that because you are there every Tuesday? Is it it's on Facebook Live, correct? Yes, I believe it's Facebook Live. Yes.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that in. Yes, I do something called Transformation Tuesday on Tuesdays at noon Mountain Time. Most Tuesdays, I'm pretty consistent. And I give a short 10, 15, maybe 20-minute teaching, a Toltec teaching. Last Tuesday, I was honoring the solstice that's coming towards us, and we talked about the coming of the longest day in the Northern Hemisphere here, the longest day of the year, and what that means to embrace the healing power of the sun at this time of year, because that's what solstice is. Summer solstice is the strongest time of light. And so I do different things on Transformation Tuesday. Yes, and it's live on my Facebook page, Toltec Teachings with Liz Forrest. And then it's also on Instagram and YouTube. And if you Google it, you can certainly find it. And I know, Marisa, you're going to put in my links for me later. So
Yes,
thank
I will. I
you.
will
Yeah.
indeed. Yes, because I actually like listening to it. And for a long time, I couldn't get in. I had something else going on a Tuesday. And so I was a little upset. I would try to see. And at the time, I didn't know you had things on Instagram that I might have been able to jump over there and listen. But I would try when I was available on Tuesday. Now, of course, I'm free. So I'm in there more often listening. And I find it fascinating because, especially because there are so many different traditions. And sometimes I think when many of us are studying, um, different paths, we kind of jump in and out and we don't really stay too long in one. And so there are things that maybe we get confused about because we haven't stayed in that tradition long enough to learn
Hmm.
about it. And I know, as you said, you've actually been allowed to share this. You've gotten permission for this because there are people who say that sometimes we're misappropriating the
Yes.
tradition, which um, is kind of sad because if it works for someone, I don't see that that's a problem. If something just speaks to your soul and that's what works for you, why would you not want to use it to better yourself, to live a more joyous life? That's how I feel. I mean, naturally, no one's saying that you're going around saying that you've created it, but if you're using it, I think that that's wonderful that you found that path. And
Yeah.
I think that more of us should try to study a little more to learn more. Because I myself I've only recently found out that, and which I don't even know how it could be, but we had DNA testing done, my sister and I only recently found out that I have Mesoamerican and Andean genetic structure, which is so far off the path. I was very shocked. Not a large percentage, but I was very shocked. And so
Hmm.
I've become more aware of trying to learn more about that.
Yeah.
And, what is the difference between that and, say, the Toltec tradition? And are there differences and are there similarities? And it's a long path that I've just jumped on. And so I really like to open that up to people. Don't be afraid to jump on that path because I'd like to ask you, because you do offer different things. Of course, I know you had a large center for a very long time in Canada, a tremendous center that you were working full time there. And now, can you explain a little bit about what you offer people? Because you do offer them certain things that they can work with you. So can you explain a little bit about that?
Yes, thank you. And I'm really excited for you that you got your DNA done. I just want to, I want to speak to that. It is really exciting. And I also have had mine done, and it gives a lot more information, doesn't it?
Yes, it
About,
does.
maybe what we're interested in, what we're drawn to. That certainly
Hmm.
was for me. Um, and yes, I would love to tell people what my offerings are. I teach online classes. I teach in-person classes. I travel. I go to the west coast of British Columbia 2 or 3 times a year. I still have big community there and many students, even though I do not have a center
Hmm.
anymore.
Hmm.
I don't have an actual center. Um, I teach in different venues, and I teach online, which is what many of us were shifted
Hmm.
into with the whole COVID time,
Hmm.
to continue taking our teachings out. And so we've come online, and I also invite people here on retreats to New Mexico, which is where I live now in Albuquerque. And I take people to Teotihuacan, Mexico, once or twice a year on immersion retreats. I call
Hmm.
them power journeys into the teachings and the spiritual practices and the culture of the Toltec people in central Mexico at Teo, as we lovingly call Teotihuacan. Yes.
Yes. And so now you mentioned journey. So does this particular tradition actually have journeying that goes on? I know some indigenous traditions do have that. Do they have journeys? Because you did mention dreaming and that it does have a lot, or dreaming plays a large part. So is that different than a journey? And do they go on journeys as well?
It's a different kind of journey, perhaps than what folks might be
Hmm.
understanding of.
Hmm.
For the Toltec tradition, the Toltecs teach that we are dreaming all the time, that we're
Oh.
dreaming now. We're dreaming our
Hmm.
awake dream.
Hmm. Oh.
And then we also lay down at night and we go into our dream time. And so we are dreaming then too. The dreaming practices come not right at the beginning, because part of this path and these practices is that, again, I'm going to refer to the energy practices. We learn how to uh, clean up our energy, let's say, in our awake dream. First of all, we have work to do first in our awake dream, and that is reclaiming our energy from our past, bringing it here, present, releasing other people's energies that we're carrying around with us. Whether we know it or not, folks, we're carrying other people's energies around
Yes.
with us until we learn how to release those people's energies and give it back to them. And so we do a really intensive work with learning how with this particular practice, which I think, Marisa, you're going to invite me to give a little taste of later.
Yes, I
And
will.
fantastic. And I
Hmm.
love to give people an experience in my interviews, and so people go away with something they can actually do. Yeah, so we'll do that in a little bit, folks. And
Hmm.
so once we've done a certain amount of, I call it work because it really is a certain amount of practice, learning how to reclaim and release other people's energies, then we're ready to go into the dreaming practices, which is learning how to, the word is lucid dream, learning how to be awake and
Hmm.
aware in our dream time while we are sleeping. And so there's different ceremonies and different practices to teach the student how to up level their awareness and to be able to interpret what the dream is bringing to them, what the dream is telling them. It's fascinating and beautiful and very powerful. Uh, I know that Don Miguel Ruiz has mentioned, many times that the dreaming practices are some of the most powerful. It gives us information, through our other dimensions of ourselves.
Yeah.
And
And I know
it's
that journeying is different, right? Journeying is different than meditation. That much I did learn. That
yeah,
journeying is active. Meditation is almost passive. Right? Meditation is a passive, you empty everything out. Journey, you let things come in. So I know it's an event, an active undertaking,
yes.
which is very different. Yeah.
That's a really great articulation.
Hmm.
Yeah. And meditation, we don't really use that word meditation
Right.
specifically, but certainly, the practices are inward. Yes, they're
Hmm.
inward and very specific techniques and
Hmm.
ways to access those other dimensions of ourselves, whether we are
Hmm.
awake or whether we are in our dream time. Yeah.
So now before we do the little demonstration, I do want to ask you, you have a website evidently. So say, for example, someone wants to take a class, a course, can they find all of that on your website? Do you
Yes.
have types all set up there that people can look into it and see, if it's something for them?
Yes, definitely. LizForrest.ca. It's .ca, not
Mhm.
.com,
Right.
because .ca Canada, even though I live in the
Yes.
US, my website
Hmm.
is .ca. So that's where you can find everything.
Hmm.
Yeah, you just
Oh, wonderful.
peruse. Yes, and there's photos of Teo, and all my
Yes.
classes are on there, and videos
Hmm.
and testimonials. There's all kinds of things on there. So
Yes.
please, I invite you to go check out my website. And I would so love to meet you. I always love to meet new people.
Yes. Oh, I think it's wonderful. I'm hoping that, and I know that you mentioned that you're going to be doing something shortly in New Mexico for your current students. I'm hoping at some point that something will be opened up for the public. I would love to be able to come out there and and partake of some sort of event that you're doing out there, specifically in this tradition. So I am trying to learn about the different traditions, and so I would love to be able to come out there. I think it's wonderful that you're offering this for people here in the United States, because I know you're very busy. And as you said earlier, I know you go to Canada a few times a year and you have, and you go to Mexico. I know you're very busy. So this would be wonderful.
I'd love to have you, Marisa. That would be so exciting and
Thank
so
you.
fun to have you come to New Mexico. Yes, and of course, New Mexico itself is such a diverse
Oh,
culture
beautiful.
and
Yeah,
such a gorgeous place. So yeah,
it is.
I will let
It's
you
lovely
know.
there.
Would love to have you.
Oh, that would be wonderful. And so now I'm going to let you explain to the audience a little bit about what you're going to do, and then let's have a test out for us to see. I have done it before in varying degrees with you, and so I think it's wonderful. And that's actually how I met you originally. I had attended an online event, and I heard you speaking, and I heard your actual sample for us to participate with you, and I thought it was wonderful. So I'm anxious for you to explain to everybody.
Thanks, Marisa. And I'm really glad that you have had the experience with me. Yeah, I love that. Um, okay, so what I would like to offer to those of you that are listening, this practice is called stalking, S-T-A-L-K, stalking like the jaguar stalks. The jaguar is a big guide on the Toltec path, the jaguar being one of the most impeccable predators on the planet. If you've ever had the good fortune of seeing a jaguar, maybe, in the flesh, or on a film or on a documentary, we know that their awareness is so fine-tuned. They are aware as they walk through the jungle. Every placement of their feet, they know what's above them, they know what's beside them, they know what's underneath them, behind them. And so this vision and this energy, this jaguar energy, and the impeccable way that jaguars live their life that's why this is called stalking, because we become our own predator and our prey. We're both when we go deep into our own self-inquiry and want to make some changes in our lives so that we can live full and happy and joyful experiences here for this short time we have in human form. And so the stalking practice, and I'm going to give it to you. I'll give you a little overview, and then I will take you through it. I'll invite you to join me in the practice. So the first part of the stalking practice is what I've already mentioned a couple of times, is that I will teach you how to reclaim your energy from your past, where it's hooked, where it's trapped, because our energy, that is exactly what happens. Our energy gets hooked to the places in our past, and we know this is happening because we keep running them over in our minds, maybe. They can continue to bring an emotional response or reaction from something we've experienced in our past. And so that's how we know that it's not, as we say, clean. Yeah. And so we want to bring it forward. We want to bring our energy here into the present so that we have all of our energy, so that we're not fragmented with little tendrils or big cords all stuck back in our past. Yeah, kind of makes sense, right? We don't want to be living in the past. We want
Yes.
to be living in this present moment and keep going forward. Okay, so that's the first part of reclaiming our own energy. And then, as I mentioned, and I bet we've all experienced, carrying around somebody else's energy. Yeah. I mean, we can have, the simplest of exchange with somebody, even a clerk in a store or, so a neighbor. Have a little conflict, a little charge, something happens, and then we walk away and we just chew on it all day. Or maybe we even take it into our dream state and it shows up in our dreaming as well. Yeah, haven't we not all experienced that? And then there's the bigger events of our lives. Yeah, where maybe an ex-partner or a family member where there's been a lot of conflict and it's not peaceful with myself and that person. And so, I can feel like I'm cloaked in somebody else's energy. Whether I'm aware of it or not, the influence is still there. So the second part of this practice is learning how to release those people's energies back to them. It belongs to them, doesn't belong to you. Just like my energy belongs to me, only me. Who I share it with, that's my choice. Yeah. But there's healthy ways to share our energy, and then there's where we merge with other people, and that's not so healthy. And that creates a space. We reclaim our energy, we release other people's energies, we've created a space. And so we fill that with light. Let's go with light. Yeah. We fill that with light, and that allows us to be unhooked or not trapped anymore from the experiences that we've had in the past. So that's an overview of what the stalking practice is. And so would you like me to lead people into this now, Marisa? Are we ready?
Yes, please do. Yes.
Okay. All right, folks. So again, this is a little taste, okay? In my classes, we take this practice much deeper. But for now and the time that we have, this is going to be a little taste so that you can take this practice with you and use it, practice it. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to ask you to do is to sit. You can't do this if you're driving, okay? You got to do this when you can give this your complete and full attention. All right, so you're sitting with your feet flat on the floor and let your hands just be draped on your thighs. You're comfortable. Okay, and you're going to close your eyes. And the first thing I'd like you to do is to do exactly what I said. Pull up an experience, a memory of an experience, something that you have not come to peace with. Okay, and I'm going to clarify that. Don't pick the biggest event in your life. Don't pick your divorce. Don't pick a big traumatic experience. Okay, I want you to pick something that's just happened in the last 3 weeks, maybe. A little argument, a little conflict at work, something with your partner, your children, your neighbor, just something that's charged that you want to clean up, that you want to reclaim your energy from so you can stop carrying it around with you. Okay. And when you have that, okay, the next thing I want you to do is to put all your attention on the top of your head. Bring all your attention, just leave that memory to the side for the moment of what you're going to stalk. You put all your attention on the top of your head, your crown chakra. And imagine it opening like that flower, that lotus that we've probably all seen. Allow your crown chakra to open. Good. And once you've visualized that, use your visualization, then you are going to connect with what we call silent knowledge, universal knowledge, that all-knowing that we all carry. And you're going to draw silent knowledge down through your crown chakra, down through your torso, breathing, and draw that ray of silent knowledge down to your will center. Your will center for women, 2 finger widths below your navel. For males, 2 finger widths above your navel. So you're drawing that ray of silent knowledge down through your crown chakra to your will center. Then with your breath, you're going to take a deep breath and you're going to direct that ray from your will center out to the center of the sun, keeping your eyes closed. Here we go. Making your connection. Silent knowledge, your will, combining to a ray that you send out to the center of the sun. Beautiful. Okay. And now you're going to bring up that memory of what you would like to stalk. Just bring it up. Your eyes are closed all the way through this practice. You bring it up just in your mind's eye. You see it exactly as it happened, because we can't change the past. It's already done. So you visualize you and another person, whoever that person is that you had the conflict with, that still feels a bit charged. Bring it up in your mind's eye. And the first thing you're going to do is reclaim with your breath your energy. By that, I mean you're going to reclaim the emotions that you felt, the words that you said. You're going to reclaim all your energy from that experience with your breath. You're going to breathe it in, and then you're going to direct it down through your body, through your legs, and out the soles of your feet into the earth. As many times as you need to until you feel some kind of neutrality. So here we go. You're drawing your energy. Directing those feelings, the anger, the hurt, whatever it was, down through your body, down through your legs, out through the soles of your feet, into our Mother Earth. She so graciously receives it, recycles it for us. And again. Reclaiming your words, reclaiming your emotions that you felt in that interaction. Let's go one more time. Out through the soles of your feet. Good. So you might already be feeling a little maybe tingling or a little response. Okay, and you would do this as many times as you need to until you don't feel hooked, till you don't feel like you're reacting, till you feel like you're neutral, you're at peace. You've reclaimed all your energy back to you. All right, so for time's sake, let's say that's now. And now you're going to release the other person's energy, one person at a time. You can't do groups, one person at a time. So the person that you had this interaction with that was upsetting to you, okay, you are going to breathe in, and then with a strong breath, you're directing their energy back to them. Your breath is the vehicle. So their words, the anger maybe they directed towards you, and the hurt they threw at you. All of their energy. Let's go again. You're directing it back to them, to that person, not with ill will, not with revenge, neutral. You're simply giving them their own energy back. Again. And you do that as many times as you need to until you feel clean till you don't feel merged with their energy, their anger, their upset, whatever it was. You feel like you have separated their energy from you as many times as you need to. Okay, so now you've created that space I was talking about. So with your visualization, I want you to fill that space that is now between you and the other person with light. With light. Imagine big ray of light, big ball of light. Fill the space between you and the other person with light. Notice how that feels. Yeah. Good. And then take the last moment to offer up your silent prayer of gratitude, always including yourself. Offering gratitude to you for having the courage and the willingness to have a look at your part in this exchange. Offering gratitude for the jaguar, maybe. Offering gratitude for this other person, if that's true for you. Take a moment, be grateful. Yes, beautiful. Okay, and we close our practices with Om Mateo. Say that with me, Om Mateo. That is the indigenous language, the Toltec people and others. And it's the Nahuatl language, and it means two energies. Om Mateo, two energies coming together here in all the dualities of this life, dark and light, and male and female, and life and death, and honoring that here in this reality on earth. Om Mateo. You'll hear that a lot. I'll say, when you join me in Mexico, Marisa. Term of reverence. Yes.
And
Ah,
thank you so much. That was wonderful. And
how do you feel?
that was fabulous. And just a small sampling. So I could just imagine how lovely it is when you're studying, right? And I do want to open that up because you are doing something in July. I don't want to forget that. So I'd like you to tell the audience because I know you're doing something in July.
I am. Thank you, Marisa. How do you feel right now,
Oh, it's
Marisa?
wonderful. Oh, wonderful. You can feel as soon as you get rid of it, you can feel like the light coming on before you even put in the light. You can actually feel that you've removed the the other person's energy.
Yeah, it's
You feel
spacious,
it, the
right?
leaps. Yes, yes, it is. Mm.
Opens up space in our heart and of
Yes, it
course in our
does.
energetic. Yeah, beautiful. And I
Yes.
know that was just a little taste. And yeah, as you just kind of suggested, Marisa, when we work with the really big pieces in my classes, the big traumas of our lives and the big experiences. And students sometimes are stalking a specific situation for a period of time. Yeah, to allow the healing to happen. And that's where the transformation happens. Our healing happens is in that spaciousness that you just talked about. Yeah, beautiful. It was certainly the missing link for me. So I'm excited to offer a 3-month. This is a 3-month condensed version. And what I've also noticed, I think we've talked about this before, Marisa, is what I'm noticing as almost 30 years of teaching is that presently people are getting this so much quicker. A 3-month
Hmm.
course, what used to be a 6 or 9 month course for me,
Hmm.
in 3 months, people are, they're aligning with it, they're practicing it, they're committing to it. And in 3 months, they've made such big changes in their lives. It's incredible. A lot of healing happens. I call it awakening. It's a mastery of empowerment. And it's a weekly class, which is also very helpful when we step onto a new path, no? That we weekly really helps support and build momentum for us when we're learning something new. And so it's a healing and transformative course. It's rooted in Toltec wisdom. And it is the shamanic practice that you just had a little taste of stalking. And what you're really doing is stalking your energy lines. You're reclaiming your energy, releasing other people's energies. And it is there's more detail than what I gave you just now. So, and there's different levels to the stalking practice. So in A Master of Empowerment, my awakening course, you learn the first level and you receive tools and learn practices to elevate your own awareness. Yeah, that's where we start, right? In our own awareness of ourselves. Yeah, so you learn practices and tools how to elevate your awareness. You start to notice things that maybe you didn't notice last year or even last month sometimes. And you learn how to shift your perceptions of your own victim and judge, which we all carry with us at times, no? Get activated. Our judge can really get activated. And so we free ourselves from guilt and shame
Hmm.
that the judge and victim,
Hmm.
they're very good friends, our judge and victim. Yeah, so we free ourselves from guilt and shame. We identify and disengage from lifelong belief systems that no longer serve. That's a really big foundation of this practice.
Yes.
And I bring in the four agreements, learn how to live and integrate the four agreements from Don Miguel Ruiz into our practices. And of course, you're part of a very large, like-spirited community that support each other in Sacred Circle. And so that's going to begin on the 4th of July. And
Oh,
it
nice.
goes for 3 months, for 12 weeks. It's a Friday
Hmm.
morning class. And so you can click on that link that Marisa is going to put in there for you, and it will take you directly to
Hmm.
this particular
Hmm.
class. And I would be so honored and just love to pass this on to more people. Yeah.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for actually coming on the show, for having us have this little bit of a taste today, and for letting us know everything that you're doing. And I really advise everybody, please go on to Liz's website and absolutely catch her Tuesday program. You'd really be surprised how wonderful it is, that small little bit of time that you take for yourself. And I'm really a believer in that, that you take for yourself that short little bit of time to sit there and listen and really give yourself me time. It's wonderful. So I will definitely make sure I put that in there too. But I want to thank you for coming on today, Liz, taking the time to explain a little bit about this to the audience.
I'm so happy to, Marisa, and thank you for all you do. Thank
Oh,
you
thank
for
you.
the light that you shine out into the world and all that you offer. It's been my honor and my delight to be with you today. Thank you.
Thank you. Take care, Liz. Hopefully we'll speak soon.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye now.